Hi-ho, welcome back. Last week I failed to show what my intentions with the wire ties were. This clip here should give an idea of how they hold the cables in place. Once the mast is reinstalled, the weight of the cables will keep them more in the center. The wire ties merely hold them from swaying as the boat rocks. This week, due to time constraints with the crane truck, and because I didn't realize ahead of time that my standing rigging was cracked, I had no choice but to make a quick day trip to Miami to get the replacement parts. Once back in Luperon, we'll walk through exactly what Sta-Lok fittings are and how they're assembled. I'm Amy, a Midwestern Kansan girl, and this is my boat, Maritopia. Having never stepped foot on a sailboat, I bought a $5,000 Facebook Marketplace worn-out 1973 Pearson and spent 2 years endlessly working on and learning from her. I've since foregone the conventional lifestyle and have started my solo sailing adventures with the goal to truly immerse myself into the vast diversities that our planet has to offer. My hope is that these videos will help spark the curiosity of others, which ignites the drive to truly live your own dreams. It's hot. So anything that I can do, I do in the shade. But the shade's getting harder and harder to find. But I did finish the spreader lights, so I'll show you those. Here's the port side. Got some, so I have heat shrink butt connectors, and then heat shrink tube. You can just barely see the red in there. And then liquid tape, and it's screwed on. The only thing left will be to fill this hole with silicone, not only so it doesn't leak, but to give it some insulation there so the wires don't chafe. Then the other side's the same way. Wire, butt connector, heat shrink butt connectors, heat shrink tube, and liquid tape, liquid electric tape. And same with this. I will have to fill it with silicone. So the middle of the mast is basically completely done other than the silicone. It's going very, very, very slow because it's a challenge to be out in the sun right now. I had to come back to the boat and turn the air conditioner on. That heat was really bothering me. I think I pushed it a little too hard. And I should have taken a hat out with me. I'm in here with the air conditioner on and the fan on. Gonna cool down for a while and then get back at it. This air conditioner feels so good. I just thought of something why I might be overheating and not being able to hydrate. RO water, reverse osmosis water, has nothing in it. There's no minerals, nothing. So when I make water, it goes through a filter, a cartridge, I'm sorry, that adds everything back into it, all the minerals and good stuff back that's in water. But now that I'm here in Luperon, I'm not making water. I've been buying it. It's 100 Dominican pesos for 5 gallons, which works out to about a little over $1, like $1.15. But there's no minerals in it. With RO water, now that it's not going through the cartridge, I've got to remember to use this. It's made by Element. Sodium, potassium, magnesium. It's got all the electrolytes. It's gonna be dangerous if I don't remember how to, or remember to use that. I was just flat out beat. I mean, I felt dizzy every time I stood up. It's dangerous. It's my own fault. Live and learn. But it's not even hot here this year. Yet. Just like in the States, it's hotter here in July, August. Maybe September, I don't know, but at least July and August. So. Fortunately, the mast will be in by then. But I've still got a lot of work to do before the mast goes in, so I've got to remember to add this to the reverse osmosis water. Otherwise, I'm screwing myself Well, it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. It's just after 3. Heading to Santiago to hop a plane to Miami to go get that standing rigging. Well, we are at the departures. I've got about 90 minutes until my flight to Santiago takes off. So that door will open. I'll rush through customs. I'll grab what I came to get. And then I'll get back on a flight to Santiago that leaves in 92 minutes. Wonder how long I'm going to be able to run. We got to take a train for a second. Now we're running again. No recording. Yeah, that was easy. My 2 favorite people in the entire freaking world. Raphael and Mel. You recognize them from when we buddy boated from Atwood Harbor in Acklands to Luperon.
Yep. Another mission accomplished.
Another mission accomplished.
Another mission.
All of that is the standing rigging, and they got me some of my favorite candies. Alright, time to go check in. Actually, I'm already checked in. Time to go check this box. The big box is checked, and I'm headed to TSA. Look at that, we have time to spare, which means I get some American fast food. What? Well, I have been here for all of 84 minutes, and now I'm at the gate going back to Santiago. I have some damn good friends in Raphael and Mel. A huge shout out to them on SV Scrimshaw, as they got back to Miami a week ago. Roth's family lives here, so they just happened to still be here. So they picked up all my standing rigging and a couple more miscellaneous things and brought it here to the airport. I couldn't have done it without them. Thank you so much. But time to go back because I have a mast to put back in. Woo. Bienvenidos a Luperon. I'll show you what's in the box that I spent all day getting. Got a manual Windex. It's the thing at the top of the mast that shows me the wind direction. The one on there was not in good shape. There's no better time to replace it than when the mast is down. Got some damp rid. This is for Mel and Raphael. I'm gonna put them in their boat. Oh yeah, my favorite candies. Christmas. Thanks, Raph. Thanks, Mel. Fittings, and I'll show you those up close in a second. Here's the primary stuff. So it's stainless wire. There are 4 that are 25 feet long. Those are for the lowers. And there are 2 that are 50 feet long. Those are for the upper cap shrouds. We got some life cock. It's for the fittings. You put it in the Sta-Lok fittings and it keeps the water out. Just helps them last a little bit longer before they corrode. Lock tight. Two new coax fittings. I had to cut the ones to get the coax out of the boat. And then I had to cut the one at the top of the mast to get it through the mast and back through the hole. So there's that. And a whole bunch more fittings. More fittings. And there are more fittings inside. I'll show you these up a little bit closer up. Because they're, whoever came up with this, it's a pretty ingenious idea. So these are basically so that you can build your wires, your wire rope on your own. Where my current ones, the old ones that I just took off, are swedged. So the fitting that's on those is just crimped around the wire rope. So you put this around the wire first. Then you put the cone in around the wire, and this will be easier to understand once I start working. And then you tighten this. So what that does is when the wire comes through here, it goes around the cone. And as you're tightening it, see that bevel right there on the end? It crimps it around that end, and it crimps the cone around the center wire. Again, I'll go into more depth when I start putting these together, but that's the gist of it. And these little suckers are expensive. The turnbuckle is so that you can adjust. You put the pin on through the chain plate, and then you can. So this will stay, and you can turn the turnbuckle. So you can watch it's getting longer right there. So that way you can purposely make them long to get the fitting on the chain plate. Once you have that on, then you can turn this to tension it, to tension the wire rope, the shroud. This is for the upper cap shrouds. So this is all there is to this one. The wire rope goes in there. There's a cone and a former and a nut and I forget what this one is called. But those are super simple because all of the adjustment is at the bottom of the mast. I debated whether to do this tonight because I'm exhausted, and generally when people are exhausted they make mistakes when they're doing stuff, but the temperature is perfect right now and I have a lot of time constraints. I have to have these done tomorrow, so what I'm hoping I can do tonight before I just flat out fall down asleep are put all the top fittings on. So I'll walk you through one so that you can see exactly how they work, and you can see the process because it's actually pretty ingenious. First we will see how there's, I don't know if that'll show through. There's a center section to this wire rope, and then there's 19 outer strands. It's 119 is what this, and it's 5/16 wire. The whole diameter of everything is 5/16. But I need to get these 19 outer wires off of the center wire. Here's the various pieces of the Sta-Lok fitting. You have the socket, and that's what Sta-Lok calls it, so that's what I'm gonna call it. You have the wedge. You have a former, which is in there, and I can't get it out, so I don't think there's any reason to get it out. And the former is what forms the wires around the end of this wedge. And then you have the terminal fitting. So I went ahead and took the former out, It's concave on the inside of that. It pushes, the wedge is right here. It pushes against the wedge and the wires, the outer wires, and it bends all of those outer wires in. So I wanted to show that so I wasn't so vague about it.
In order to insert the wedge, you first have to separate the 19 outer wires from around the inner strand. Using pliers with a small amount of pressure made it very simple.
Slide the wedge on. Leave an 1/8 of an inch right here. Keep in mind this is 5/16. I don't know if it's the same for everyone.
The outer wires were trying to push the wedge off. I found that by tightening the outer wires and very slightly jamming the socket up some allowed just enough pressure to hold the wedge in place. Once the wedge was in place, I wrapped the outer strands around it. In order to hold the assembly in place so that nothing moved, I jammed the socket up against the wedge and wire strands.
I'm gonna make sure that there's no wires in the groove on the wedge.
The instructions clearly state, and it makes logical sense, that none of the wire strands should be inside of the groove on the wedge. I'm also making sure that the outer strands are uniformly wrapped around the wedge.
They're evenly spaced. You have to try the best that you can to get those outer wires as evenly spread apart as you can without letting one of the wires go into the groove of the wedge. And then it helps if you push that socket forward while you're doing it, because then it holds the wire together. So you untwist the wire, put the wedge on, and you leave an 1/8 inch gap on this 5/16 wire. This is 5/16, so the instructions say to leave an 1/8 inch gap between the end and where the wedge is. So the end is right there, and then the wedge is roughly an 1/8 of an inch up from the end. I'd say that's pretty darn close to an 1/8 of an inch. Put some of the life caulk in the terminal. And try to do it so that you don't get any, or as little as possible, on the threads on the inside of the terminal. Put some Loctite thread locker on. Terminal on. And tighten it. I don't have a vise, so a big crescent wrench, a couple of big crescent wrenches. You really, when those two, when the terminal and the socket bottom up against each other, you really feel an immediate stop. So you do have to tighten it, but when it stops, it stops. So I'm gonna clean up the life caulk and get that Loctite out of there. That's it. The upper 6 are done. Just like that. If you'd like to stay up to date and follow along with the adventures, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. As I do more of these repair videos, I'm learning how much detail to include. As such, I've been off on my closing statements the last couple of weeks. Please let me know if this video and the last one were spot on, or if you'd like more or less detail. Next week, I'll put the finishing touches on the ancillaries, make a few last-minute fixes, then finally get the mast back in.